Welcome. You have entered the realm of 1111 Talk Radio. Your host is SIMRAN. It's time to discover your own language with the universe. Empower yourself, broaden your mind, open your heart, and discover who you are. Now, here's your host, SIMRAN.
Happy New Year. I hope 2025 has begun in a smooth way, and you are treating yourself differently than you may have in prior years. Let this year begin gently. Allow it to draw you in. Beware of getting sucked into that rush of a new year, that proverbial goal-setting pattern of conditioning, or the hustle culture that often permeates our society. Pause, sit and have some tea. Center into what feels true for you, what aligns to that soft rhythm inside. Times are changing. They are calling us to recline into our more natural, truer selves, not the hypervigilant, get it done, frenzied, running out of time, FOMO, not self. Whatever is arising in your life, be gentle. Don't simply react to the impulse. You know, things that begin quickly also end quickly, so I caution leaping too quickly. Simmer, marinate, become rich with inspiration. I want to remind you that you have all the time in the world. There is no rush, despite what your mind, the world, or even the sensations that have patterned within your body after years of operating this way without stopping. I promise you, you will not miss out on anything. What is meant for you is meant for you, and it will inevitably meet you. 2025 holds the spirit of this promise. We are at a critical juncture, personally, spiritually, culturally, collectively, and globally. And it requires us to be present and devotional in our approach to everything, beginning with the most mundane and minuscule of tasks and things in our lives, all the way through to those that are of great responsibility, urgency, and need. A level of patience is being asked of each of us, patience with others, patience with the state of our world, patience with family, friends, and frenemies, and especially patience with ourselves. A lack of patience, or the feeling to rush or do, is a sensational nudge, a body interference, the body's programming, and it's also a divine opportunity to get to know your not self better, so that as you begin to reclaim that true self, and there's no better time to do that than now, you're truly anchoring into it from a place of witnessing all those layers of who you have been so that you don't fall back into those patterns and behaviors so easily. These unprecedented times have been in the works for thousands of years. A transition from the Piscean era to the Aquarian Age has been occurring for the last 50 years. This is the shift. You see, for the next 2,000 years, we will be in the Aquarian Age. And that Aquarian Age officially began November 11th, 2011, or 11/11/11. I remember that time. I remember what it felt like. It seemed to me as if a door opened energetically. And I think a lot of people felt that. Or at the very least, they were enamored at the numbers 11/11/11. Some astrology enthusiasts say the date was actually 12/21/2012, or 12/12/12. You know, we do love patterns. We do love series of numbers and cycles. So it only makes sense that the universe would prompt us with things in triplicate, right? To get our attention. The signs, the symbols, the synchronicities. Again, another important moment that I distinctly remember. 12/12/12 was powerful. You may also remember it. I think look back and see what you were doing at those periods. There was indeed a shift, and it's as if a series of doorways have opened for us ever since that time to assist us in removing the veils and in changing, to assist us in breaking down structures, behaviors, and even modes of living. Life even brought forth experiences to make us stop, to make us reflect, and perhaps to make us move. Regardless of the official starting date for the Aquarian Age, we are in it, and in for a lot of change. We have been speeding up, and I'm certain that you feel it. It probably feels like time flying by. Sometimes it might feel like your signs, symbols, and synchronicities appearing at a faster rate, or even your manifestations showing up the moment you speak them. And we are continually leaping forward and about to leap forward in gigantic ways in many areas. You can see this technologically, scientifically, spiritually, and even across global events. More importantly, you are speeding up. You, your body, your mind, your ability to cast out the intentions, manifestations, spells, whatever you want to call them. The vibration at which we each are in physical form is increasing in the speed of light that we carry. Now, what does that mean? That means that our bodies are taking on more light. They're needing to take on more light for us to rise into the truer self that we are, to create the vibrational resonance and frequency of the higher soul self. So it's imperative that we create the optimal environment for that to occur. And that looks a lot like eating better, detoxing, sounding, humming, energy practices, prayer, nature, etc. You know the drill. But it also means especially slowing down to connect with those natural rhythms. You know, they say we speed up to slow down. Well, this is one of those paradoxes, because while that is true, we have to slow down to also speed up. Let me kind of explain to you the timelines of the ages and how this has all been part of the divine plan. Even some of the chaos that we see in the world, it too is part of the divine plan, and we have to trust it. We may not like it. We certainly have to do our part, but we have to trust it. So from around 2000 BC to 0 AD, we were in the Age of Aries. And from 0 AD to the present, we have been in the Age of Pisces. Now, the Piscean Age was dominated by hierarchy and power, and we can see that in a lot of areas, whether you look at, what has happened in the entertainment industry, or in government, or healthcare, or business, or across the world. You can see where hierarchy and power took hold. You could take a line from Shakespeare, actually, as the key theme for this period. To be or not to be. To be or not to be. That's what we've all been trying to attain. That was the inquiry to center upon, to create a successful and happy life. This question required resolution. We had to know how to be or not to be. Now, when we look at Pisces, the key phrase and point of awareness to achieve is, I believe. And that's kind of what we all lived in, whether we were Pisces or not. During this age, in order for you to be or not to be, you needed to find someone or something to believe in. And that generally was something outside of ourselves. And now we've also moved into the North Node in Pisces for the next 18 months. And that translates into, I need to believe in myself, which is something that coincides so beautifully with this transition into the Age of Aquarius. I'll explain more. In the Age of Pisces, you attached yourself to people, places, and things that guided you in how to live. Think religion, political ideology, charismatic leaders, work, even self-help gurus or spiritual institutions that you really aligned with. It appeared to you that life's keys were hidden and secret, and so you had to follow. They seemed to be held by those in power, or for some, those in monasteries and ashrams, or they were held in the hands of certain leaders or teachers or influencers. You didn't need to know these secrets because you simply followed those who did, the leaders and the guides, the teachers and the healers, the gurus and the giants. This is hierarchy. This created the hierarchy that had you stay in your place within that order. And such hierarchy actually replicates itself. So it probably replicated itself in your social life, your family life, your work life, etc. I speak a lot about hierarchy as one of the 7 illusions in my book Being, the 7 illusions that derail personal power, purpose, and peace, which I highly recommend reading during this period of immense change and transition. Being is an oracle and a guide within the self-realization trilogy of living, being, and knowing, and I know it is a must-have series for any spiritual aspirant. It's necessary to understand your own self-created veils so that you can begin dissolving them. It's not a series where you're following me or even following it. It's a series that helps you follow yourself. So the Pisces age characteristic of hierarchy and followers has existed as our past conditioning. Everything that you have learned from your parents and they from their parents, going back 2,000 years, has been colored by this frame of reference. And now all of that is changing. The transition from the Piscean Age to the Aquarian Age represents a profound shift in our humanity's collective consciousness, in our values, and in our societal structures. And so this change is not going to be instantaneous, but will occur gradually, and it will have overlapping influences from both ages, which is why you kind of feel and see the friction in the outer world in the way that you're seeing it. That's part of that rise of power, fall of power, that need to control, that pull of surrender. It's all of that playing itself out as we recalibrate and rebalance ourselves into truer beings. You will come to see that the Aquarian Age is dominated by networks and information. Rather than to be or not to be of the Piscean period, we now shift into be to be. Let that simmer inside and see what that means for you. Maybe write it down in a journal and let yourself write about it a little later to understand what did to be or not to be mean in the past and what does be to be mean for you now. Be to be is the new awakening. The Aquarius sign point of awareness and phrasing is, I know. I know. That's really, really powerful. That's the place that we must center and ground into. I can remember my youngest, when he was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, anytime I would say anything to him about him, oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're so handsome, Christian. Oh, you're so sweet, Christian. His response with such authenticity and clarity was always, I know. He was coming from that essence of himself, the essence that we all have before we forget, before it's conditioned out of us. So I know is your new mantra for the Aquarian Age. The Aquarian Age is the age of information, and here nothing is secret anymore. Information is available at your fingertips, accessible outside of you, and if truly connecting, infinitely available within you. And that's the real key. What you need is within you. You know. The Aquarian Age is doing away with hierarchy, and it's opening us to greater equality, because we all know. We all have this essence within us to know. We are now in process of creating a world, a species, a way of being as equals. And although this may take a little while, with the way that the world currently appears, it is happening. And there are more and more individuals that are willingly stepping into that independent quality of essence that knows. And this is your invitation to do the same. At this time, the Aquarian Age is asking that you no longer focus on your identity and existence, meaning to be or not to be, but instead on accepting yourself as a whole person, be to be, a whole person who does not need to believe in something or someone outside of yourself, to really center in and dispel yourself of all those insecurities and inequities that you have been holding on to, been trying to heal, been trying to let go of. It's time for you to embrace all of that, gather it all up, embrace and absorb it, and allow it to be dissolved in that absorption inside yourself. If that doesn't make sense to you, it makes more sense as you go through my trilogy, because we are not here to push away anything. We are here to reabsorb everything. I want you to accept, to open to the acceptance that you have the knowledge and wisdom within yourself. You don't need to attach to someone or something external. You are to be the leader of yourself, only yourself. You're not here to lead anyone else, only you. Your life, expression, and existence is yours. Your responsibility, your creation. You are the journey. You are the creator. You are the God of your own understanding. This is the end of codependence and the leap into complete independence for a world of equality and interdependence to reveal itself. That is your part, the role you must play. Be to be. Be to be. Breathe that in. Be to be. We're going to dive more into how you can empower yourself in order to be, and in order to authentically, in the most grounded, high-frequency way, begin saying, I know. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and take this in so that it starts to seed within your cells. You have the knowledge and wisdom within yourself. You do not need anyone or anything external. You are here to lead yourself, only yourself. You are not here to lead anyone else, only you. Your life, expression, and existence is yours. Your responsibility, your creation. You are the journey. You are the creator. You are the God of your own understanding. Breathe that in. Be to be. This shift in astrological conditions changes things for the entire planet. Every person on the planet will be affected in many ways, and I want to share more about this as we come back from this commercial break. One other announcement, I would love for you to find me on Substack at iamsimran1111.substack.com. I have begun some deeply personal writings there to bring greater insight and wisdom, along with a new second podcast that will share my heart in a more personal and intimate way. So be sure to find the You Are the Journey podcast. That's You Are the Journey podcast on your preferred streaming platform and on my Substack publication titled Beyond the Illusion. Again, that's iamsimran1111.substack.com. We'll be right back after these messages.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. SIMRAN is an award-winning author, publisher of 1111 Magazine, powerful speaker of wisdom, and a life mentor. Find out more at iamsimran.com. Now, back to 1111 Talk Radio.
Welcome back, beautiful soul. I want to repeat something that I said at the end of the last segment, and I want you to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and take this in so that it starts to seed within your cells. I am here to accept that I have the knowledge and wisdom within myself. I do not need to attach to someone or something external. I am the leader of myself, only myself. I am not here to lead anyone else, only me. My life, expression, and existence is mine. My responsibility, my creation. I am the journey. I am the creator. I am the God of my own understanding. This is the end of my codependence, and I leap now into complete independence for a world of equality and interdependence to unfold. This is my part. This is the role I will play. I am here. I am here. I am here. Breathe that in. Be to be. I know this. I know. Take a deep breath. Exhale and allow that to settle in. As I said before, the shift in astrological conditions changes things for the entire planet and every person on it. There's a line that goes through the center of the earth, and it has a bit of a wobble. It goes through a little circular wobble about once every 24,000 years. And that might help to explain some of what we've been experiencing in our nation and world for some time over the last 50 years. Internally, since the 1960s, personal transformation, self-awareness, self-improvement, all protocols like yoga, meditation, tai chi, natural healing, alternative healing, natural foods, organic foods, etc., they all experienced an emergence and a subsequent swing into more and more of society. Now, alongside that, there was also a major increase in depression, suicide, anxiety, stress, drug use, both pharmaceutical and recreational. Wobble. The wobble had to happen. It is part of the shift. Additionally, amazing changes toward a new world of equality have been rising. I mean, think back. Civil rights, environmental consciousness, women's rights, gay rights, global consciousness, etc. It's all been opening up more and more. And in equal balance of yin-yang energy, we have also experienced fundamentalism, terrorism, partisan politics, racism, xenophobia, and general fear-mongering, the wobble. The wobble is this pendulum of sorts, energetic, that is required to shift the light onto all aspects of what is hidden, what needs to be remembered. So you see, we're bringing the hidden, the secrets of the Piscean Age out now. And this is good. From shadow to light is good, albeit uncomfortable at times. But the reason that you're seeing more of this is not because it all of a sudden arose. It's always been there. It's now that the light is shining on it. And that's how we grow. That's the transformation. So right now, you are witnessing probably the best and worst of mankind. Some people are expressing the opening of their hearts and minds in an embrace of this new age, and others feel really intimidated by change. And they want to return to some time in the past, or trust what they know, or those people who are like themselves. Transformation is never a painless process. For example, when you fast or cleanse to purify your body, at first you feel worse because toxins get stirred up in order to be eliminated. But once these poisons have been cleared, you feel lighter and more energized. Well, that's what's happening in our greater society and in our world. Might even be happening within your families or relationships. That is transformation. And we are heading into a time of radical change. It's a time of great potential growth and expansion, but it is also a time of great potential pain and suffering. Buddha said suffering is grace, and personal experience has shown me that that is true. And so if we can embrace what comes, understanding that there's a greater good, then that suffering too will be good. Everyone is experiencing transformation. Then that suffering too will lead to a greater good and the accompanying symptoms that presents. The more you understand what is happening, the more you can go through all of the changes without losing your balance and stability. So why is this conversation so important at the beginning of this year? Why have I felt called to share this information? Because these early years of the Aquarian Age are calling us forward in new ways. I feel it. I know it. It is so that we become more aware and present to our contribution of shadow mechanisms upon the planet. It's really easy to stay focused on how light and how great and beautiful we are, on how powerful we are and how we're out here to go do something for the world. But the work of self-inquiry must be done alongside that, with immense scrutiny, so that the subtlest of shadows can be revealed. I caution that what has been believed to be self-awareness and conscious living, for many, for most, may only be another veil or mask of the not-self. Within my own experience that birthed the self-realization series of Living, Being, and Knowing, I discovered this, and I call this artificial lighting. It does the job beautifully, illuminating many things, but it's still not quite the real thing. It's not really light. It's like it is a glow, but what if there is something that is actually of greater light within you? For that reason, it is necessary to be vigilant in self-exploration and self-reflection, so that the not-self doesn't grab hold and manipulate words, thoughts, and actions toward shadow agendas via socially and culturally accepted behaviors of what is actually unconscious living. Those types of agendas reveal in extremely subtle ways, as well as blatantly obvious vices that have plagued the human experience since the beginning of time. I will say to the conscious ones, the grown ones, the healed ones, and evolved ones, these words might feel offensive because you've done so much work. You've been through so much and attempted to heal so much in yourself. However, that is the point. Such an attitude of I've done the work creates complacency, and it propels individuals into busyness, distraction. Oftentimes, it produces the drive to go out into the world and save, fix, or heal others. Now, of course, this comes from a well-meaning desire to serve people and our world. However, in doing so, it is easy to get caught up in busyness and self-absorption that often mimics the patterns and behaviors which actually existed prior to your personal growth path. I'm not saying don't serve the world. I'm saying balance, boundaries. Actually, big boundaries. Capital B big, capital B boundaries. Ultimately, we must all become resolved to the understanding that we are patterns that keep repeating. We each are simply a collection of patterns. I know there's probably a desire to resist these thoughts, especially if you are someone that's out in the world, doing your thing, helping people, and sharing your light. But what if what I'm sharing is true? This may not seem like a positive, inspirational, or even motivational discourse at this moment, but it is exactly that. This is in advocacy for you, in advocacy for your soul, in advocacy for our world. You are so much more than your mind can possibly know. You're more than the actions you produce. You're more than the creations you create. You're more than your story, your needs, your perceived wants and desires, or the ways in which you think you can help. Your presence is enough. Your presence is enough. Are you willing to be curious, to be open, and to be awakened to a more powerful self than you have ever known? I will tell you, in engaging concentrated, deep inner work, while stepping back over the course of a decade, I discovered so much of this and was called to lay out this layered self across the 3 volumes of my latest trilogy. I was shocked, with all the good work and light I had put into the world, that I had only touched the surface of light, that much of what I had expressed was more likened to artificial light than true light. It was beautiful. It supported many people. It brought love and light into the world. It brought beauty into the world. And yet, I can humbly and truthfully say that it was artificial light. In engaging into the same study and deepening which I now share in Living, Being, and Knowing, I was able to access not only the deeply subtle and hidden shadows, but ever-increasing vibrations and frequencies of light, naturalness, and soul. Oh, my soul, which is shared in the 3rd book, Knowing, the 7 Human Expressions of Grace, part of that self-realization trilogy. Why I'm sharing this information at this time, especially upon embarking upon a new year, is that a new year is a new environment. You must create the framework for sacred sanctuary of being as you enter. You've just walked through a doorway. This is a new place. It is a year unlike any moment that has come before. It requires your presence to the intention it holds, presence to the intention that 2025 holds for you. What do I mean by that? 2025 is a 9-year, numerologically. A 9-year signifies the conclusion of a 9-year cycle. So aside from our discussion of the Aquarian Age, this year completes a 9-year cycle that you began in 2017. That deserves some contemplation. Perhaps go back and look at what you started in 2017 and what has been building for you, inner and outer, since that time, because that is coming to completion this year. Again, inner and outer. A 9-year holds themes of completion, transformation, and release. That is why this is an imperative time to let go of what no longer serves you. Whether that is outer in relationships, career, habits, or emotional patterns related to those, or the inner, meaning the thoughts and the embedded emotional woundings, the energetics, the subtleties. And you do this to create space for new beginnings in the next cycle, which will begin in 2026. And although letting go of what no longer serves has probably been something you have heard or done time and time again over the years, you might even do it at every full moon. We had a full moon last night, so that might be one of your ongoing rituals. This year is especially important for that. And it's a much deeper, more subtle, and sensitive application of letting go. It truly speaks more to your inside rather than your outside. This year focuses on tying up the loose ends and resolving unfinished business from the past. So you're invited to process past experiences and heal those unresolved emotions by letting go of the old you that you still hold internally, unbeknownst to yourself. You prepare for the opportunities and the aspirations that are going to emerge, again, internally and externally, in the next 9-year cycle that begins in 2026. So move through this work and this time with gentleness, compassion, and radical self-love, while also feeling into where your heart desires to go, what feels fulfilling, and where you want to be selfless and in service in a way that doesn't compromise you, your needs, and your fulfillment. This is a time to begin giving more of your genuine self. That is true selfless service. The other might be a bit of codependence. Again, another point for your contemplation. I'll also add that Mars significantly influences a 9-year, which means that it brings a dynamic, action-oriented, and transformative quality to themes of completion and renewal. This is good because it will significantly assist you in the inner exploration of what you're being urged toward. You see, Mars energizes individuals to pursue new opportunities with boldness and decisiveness. Remember the phrase? I know. That means that you are to step into this year with confidence and creativity. It means leadership, innovation, and taking risks that align with your long-term aspirations. And again, remember, it's not about out there. This is be to be. This is about your presence, your fulfillment, your confidence, and how those expressions serve you so that you take proactive steps towards transformation in preparation for the next cycle with renewed passion and purpose. We are now in the age of individuation, and so it is vitally necessary that every individual begin deconditioning out of the not-self in order to tune in to the natural voice, rhythms, and knowing of the true self. You must know thyself. So what can you do to help make this transition into the new age of information and consciousness? Well, I do have some suggestions for you. So grab your journal and jot these down. First, and most importantly, have a daily spiritual practice. Every spiritual tradition has one thing in common, a daily practice. And this can be many different things. You have to find what's right for you. It might be yoga, meditation, chanting, prayer. It might be contemplation, exercise, or journaling. It might be dance or singing. Find your spiritual practice. It's not important what you are doing, but that you do something consistently, every day, preferably at the same time, that you do it with intention, and you let go of your blocks and focus on your consciousness, on your light, on your vibration, your frequency, and your connection to the divine essence within. Second, don't give in to fear, despair, or anger. There's a lot in the world that is designed to help trigger those emotions, not for you to react to them or give in to them, but for you to become aware of them in order to remove those veils. You're going to find things in the media, the environment, politics, terrorism, health, all kinds of things that might activate fear, despair, or anger, sadness, or any of the other lower and dense emotions. But if you can understand that these emotions are all symptoms of the Aquarian shift, then you can begin to go through them without losing your center, meaning you can embrace them and hold them and allow them to dissolve rather than reacting or being swept over by them. Third, don't be a victim. You have the power to change your life. This is the year of personal responsibility. Don't give that power away to anyone or anything, and especially not through blame or resentment. You are responsible for your happiness and grace. Don't buy into any view of reality in which you are not 100% responsible for making your life work. The Aquarian Age is all about empowerment and consciousness and self-responsibility. Number 4, be a source of light. Choosing to embrace the Aquarian shift will help make this transformation easier. A small percentage of people who shift their consciousness can influence the rest of humanity. And just the mere fact that you're listening to this, you're one of these pioneers. Find your way, a way that brings you joy and love, to spread your light, to allow that light to shine out in the world in a way that you experience it, and it will organically and naturally touch other people in the way that it's meant to. You don't have to go try to do that. Be to be. Number 5, I always choose an essence word or a phrase to be my guiding thread throughout each year. Try it. Choose a word or phrase that represents the expression or experience you intend and desire for 2025. For this year, for every year. Choose a new one. It'll help keep you centered. And number 6, a little shameless self-promotion here, because I know this series is powerful. I have witnessed it with individuals that have partaken of it, and I've watched the cycles unfold in many of these individuals over and over again. I invite you to explore as a guide or set of oracles the daily support of my trilogy. It will support this year's energy and inner transformation. So you can go to IamSimran.com or anywhere books are sold, and I would order the entire self-realization trilogy of living, being, and knowing. In Being, the 7 illusions that derail personal power, purpose, and peace, I write about time as the first of 7 illusions in life. It's so real feeling, and yet it's not, right? Time is. Again, hierarchy is there. The illusion of money, the illusion of evolution, some really powerful illusions that we've bought into, that when you read the insights on these, they're going to help remove those really thick veils of those things, which will support your journey in a great way. Also knowing the 7 human expressions of grace, where I share the self-initiated grace. You might have heard me mention earlier, we have to give certain levels of grace to ourselves first. It is our pure humanity that opens the doorway to our divinity, our divine presence, and the grace of the infinite. And, of course, the third one, Living, the 7 blessings of human experience, is going to help you see who you are right now. It delves into the psyche, emotional intelligence, your energetic position, experience, and expression as the identity you are possessed by and must release to have what you truly desire as human fulfillment, soul being, and divine expression. Allow these solid foundations to form mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, before you get moving physically. Let this year begin softly, sweetly. Allow the newness to draw you in. Pause, sit, and have some tea. Open to the wisdom. Center into what feels true for you, what aligns to that soft rhythm inside. Give yourself moments of space and breath. Life is a dance where we are required to step back in order to move forward. Dance to the rhythm that life is asking of you so that you keep pace with your soul song. I would love for you to find me on Substack at IamSimran1111.substack.com, along with a new second podcast, You Are the Journey podcast, on your preferred streaming platform, and on my Substack publication titled Beyond the Illusion. Again, that's IamSimran1111.substack.com. I am sending an energetic hug. I love you. I hope you are and have been taking good care of yourself, finding nourishment in many ways. I wish you the best in 2025, and I hope you'll continue to receive from 1111 Talk Radio in many ways. Remember, you are the light, the love, and the liberty you seek. Let this be a year in devotion to the journey of your soul. Until next time, in love, of love, with love, and as love, be well.
Thank you for opening your mind to a new reality, your heart to greater compassion, and your experience of aliveness with 1111 Talk Radio. Join host Simran next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time to step through the gateway of conscious living. You are not on the journey. You are the journey.